Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, and today we're going to bust another scrap. So this is the pocket that I worked on to bust a scrap using book pages, which I consider scraps. You know, you take a whole book apart and there's just pages laying around, and then pieces of scraps. I have decorated this one, and I'm going to show you how I took care of it. But not my goal, but I think the optimum use for this, since these papers are so thin, is to actually glue it down into a book. Not into a book. I happen to see this when I said that, onto a page. So I think what I would do, and I have this from my books digital. Couldn't think of the word there. And I think, like I said, I think gluing the whole thing down would probably be the best bet, since it's thin and would make it pretty strong. I'm going to glue it up a little higher so we can see those words below it. And glue it all down. So it is kind of like a library pocket almost, where it would be glued to the book, but a little shorter thing. And then you would have the pocket like that. And it would be in your journal. Yeah, I think it's cute with the book pages there. I like it. So, super easy to do if you want to stick around, and I will show you how I did this. All right, I pulled out a couple book pages and a couple pieces of the scrapbook paper, but one thing I forgot to mention that I had decorated it. This is from my freebie where you can stamp your own labels. That was one of mine that I stamped, but you can find those. They're blank templates where you have sort of a grunge in the back, and then you can stamp your own on there to make your own little labels, and the little freebie for the mini stamps I put on there. So I thought they were cute. I liked it. But I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, so, and of course I glued it down so I really can't show you the back of it. All right, so what I did was I took any of these book pages, and I'm going to fold it back just to give it a little bit of strength. If you have enough room to just get rid of the border and leave the words on front, that'll work. The first one I did, it had a small border. I had to fold, I think it was this one. Yeah, I ended up having to fold some of the words back, which was fine. Just giving it strength to the sides here, and also giving it a nice finished edge, because if anything like me and you're ripping it out of book pages, you have kind of a mess. So this one is actually a foreign language book, so I thought this would be fun to make a page out of. So depending on your book, some of them are thicker, some of them are thinner. It really depends on the book you use and how far you fold your borders over. Okay, so for these guys, all I did was take and figure out if I could use this, and I had the pen out earlier. There we go. As a template to get rid of, well, that was, oh my goodness gracious. There we go. I'll be able to figure that out. So that can go with that one, and make a taller pocket. All right, I think I'll go that way. So we're going to start by cutting it down. 3.5. That looks like a good height for a pocket. And I'm going to keep that side, so we're going to draw on that side. Now the original one I did, I ended up gluing it down and then trimming the sides, and I cut the pocket open. So we're going to, actually this is a trial by error for me, see if it'll work. What did I use first? I used that flower one and that green square one. I just want to try to make something different. Not going to go that way. It's going to go that way. And I think I will keep the whole thing. So we're just going to go like this. And draw a line. Okay. take and cut that line. Now I might have been able to actually, and now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I could fold it over. It was much longer. Of course I don't have something too much longer, just a little bit longer. Fold it over to the other side. We're gonna try it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna fold it up how far I want it to be. And actually, sorry, we're going to glue it onto the back side and then it'll get folded up. See, this is what happens when you do a prototype one day and then you do the project the next day. Your mind forgets what you did. Okay, so make sure if there's not an up or a down, because you don't want to accidentally put these things up or down. Okay, so that's the back side. And we're going to flip it up so that it is just the pocket. Now I was thinking about, you could actually also flip it up a little farther and have a little bit of words on the bottom if you wanted to. That would be an option. Okay. Now we're going to take and fold that back, and this side is the one that's got a little bit of paper, and fold it back. Well, that would definitely work if you had thin enough paper. If it was thick paper, I would not suggest doing that. Okay, so before I glue it down, I'm going to put a thumb hole in here. And put a little bit of ink on there. Okay, so I'm not going to glue inside of here. That is going to leave this whole pocket being full. It is going to be glued on the back. But first, I'm going to throw a little bit of glue on those little side flaps there, so they get glued. There we go. So they get glued up. Oops. Okay. And then we're going to glue. And again, this is just to give it some strength, so it doesn't even really have to be pretty back here. It just needs to hold it down. Okay, so we have a pocket. Now what's nice about this is, since I have folded it, I also can round this paper, because this paper tends to be pretty thin. It might be hard to use the punch on it, but since it is doubled now on the corner, it's a little easier to do. So there you go. I think this next one will be easier. All right, so this is the front, this is the back, and this is going to be the top that gets flipped up. Right, I'm going to, just for giggles, I'm going to trim it down. I think if we started with a much longer piece of paper that you could wrap around farther on both sides, it'd be easier. Trying to wrap around this tiny little piece was definitely a little harder. But that's why I do stuff, to make it easier for you, oops, upside down, in the end, to be able to make it without issues. Put a little ink on the edge, let it look white, and we'll glue this down. All right, I'm gonna get, I see a huge goober there. Okay, this is the top side, so we're going to put it up there. I'm going to do my best to put it where those folds are, and do that. right, so if you were going to mass make these, I would probably say gluing all these down before trying to fold it up would probably be a good idea, because the folding it up part makes it want to go just a little coming off. There we go. That's a tiny little pocket. That's okay. I don't mind. All right, so once again, we're going to just put a little bit of glue on this inside flap here and here. And then when we wrap it around, we'll glue that side. And we'll glue that side. I forgot to do the thumb hole. I should be able to sneak it in. Question is, there we go. I'll say the question is probably a little gluey. But there we go. And right in front of my face. A little bit of a rounding. And there you go. Cute little pocket, right? Like I said, if you wanted to glue it down, to a page, you have a nice little tag that you can stick in there, and right, it looks like a fun little library card, but using up some scraps. Okay, let's try this one. All right, so this is going to be the front. Do it this way, and which one do I want at the top, dark or light? I'm going to put the dark at the top. And this one I had cut off already, so I knew it was going to be the right width. Oh, dark at the top. I was thinking I could fold it the other way. All right, that works pretty good. Folding it up on the back side here, keeping the piece of paper on the bottom to get a good strong fold on it. That works. And we're gonna punch a little hole. Probably should wait till it dried. And put a little ink, put a little glue on the side, put a little glue on that side, and fold it up, and then fold it back. Super simple, right? Sometimes I see the people doing the pockets and trying to cut the corners, and I've definitely made it that way. Series of unfortunate events. I could have called my channel that as I make mistakes and whoops. All right, we're gonna have to hand cut that one. There we go. No harm, no foul. Glue that down. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's a little warped. But that's okay. Got lots of little bits around here. It still works as a lovely little pocket. I like them. Book pages and sort of like library card pockets. So depending on how big of a piece you get, that's how big of a item you get. So if you want tiny, like that, you can go ahead and do tiny. Yeah. Let's do a cheerful one. Let's do a cheerful one. Yeah, let's do that. I'm not going to use that piece because that's a good backing piece. We're going to save that. All right. Okay, we're going to try to do the fold over. Get a little bit more on here. And see if that works. And fold over. I mean, I guess I could try, I've not pre-folded. That could work too. All right, so we're gonna cut this skinnier so I have a taller word pocket. And we're just gonna go ahead and cut this at about 2 inches. Make a 2-inch pocket. I don't think there's anything wrong with the 2-inch pocket, do you? I do not. Okay, so we're going to glue this down. All right, try to center it over the folds. It's a little bit to the side, but I think it'll be okay. Okay, and then we're going to fold it with the piece I just glued down to the base. So I can push on it and keep it down. All right, so there's a lovely pocket there. And we're going to go ahead and fold it. Try to give it a nice crease. And yeah, you probably could avoid pre-folding it, but doing the fold just kind of helps you know where you're going to have to do the crease for it. Oh, that totally works. Olaf, where's Olaf? Is that the little snowman from Frozen? I'm sure this wasn't a story about Frozen. A series of unfortunate events was made. I believe the books were out much earlier than that was. Okay, so the same thing. We're just gonna glue the flaps up. So they're on the outside, leaving the inside. To be as full, as big as possible. Just try to crease it well. Now it doesn't matter if all these little bits are here because I am, like I said, gluing this down onto a sheet. So it is, the little bumps are not going to matter as much. Now if you really wanted to use this as another pocket or a tuck, you probably want to make sure these bits back here are really secured down versus how I have them. All right, and I know I'm punching these way too soon because they're still wet, but it might have been a bad beginning, but it's a good ending. I like that one. That's fun. What a cute little ticket to go in there. Bright colors. I like it. I think I'm going to put that on there. I got a little bit of a lime sorbet. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna just nip the corners off. All right. Wish there was a little bit more room for this, but you know, I'm complaining that the pocket's too small. I think I'm just gonna put that on there and add something later to that and use this on a different one. All right, it's a thicker paint chip, so I am gonna use some art glitter glue for it. Yeah, I like that. That's cute. And I think I'm going to attach that to this one. Okay. I always like checking my little box of fun. I always have something in there. And that is upside down. That is upside down. That is upside down. There we go. I saw that little beginning. And I'm like, whoop, upside down. Yeah, shoot. I like it. All right, well, again, not using a lot of scraps in my Bust a Scrap project, but I am using scraps. And slowly but surely, we can get rid of some stuff. And you know, it's really not about getting rid of every scrap, but figuring out ways to use the scraps we have. I like it. And book pages. Who doesn't have a million of those, right? I really do like these. I was kind of iffy when I was thinking about it. I almost forgot this one. Not iffy, but I was like, is it enough of a project? But I do like them a lot. Now that I've actually made them, I really like them, especially glued onto a page. Very fun. Okay, well, that is going to be it for this video. As usual, if you like the video, a thumbs up would be awesome. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Because if you like these Bust a Scraps, I still have about, 20 more to go? I can't remember which one this is. 26, maybe? So yeah, got at least 20 more to go. So lots of fun things to come up with are still in our future. Okay, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you all have a wonderful and creative day. Bye for now.